Hello, 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 and thank you for dancing in the discomfort zone with me. I am super excited for today's guest because she is a professional speaker, an award-winning entrepreneur. She's a STEM career coach and consultant. She's a TEDx speaker, a science journalist, a corporate comedian, and my favorite, an ambassador of authenticity. Alaina G. Levine has a newest book that's coming out soon called Your Unicorn Career. It is named after her successful column in Science magazine. And it empowers anyone to create a customized career that honors authenticity and your values and allows you to define the impact and success in a meaningful and personal way and uses skills to solve problems in a way that it's going to bring you joy. Now, I have to tell you a little bit more. I went through her bio and there's she's delivered nearly 1,000 keynotes and webinars for clients on 5 different continents. She has written close to 500 articles, not in like the daily news down the street, but in something you've heard of, maybe Science, Nature, Scientific American, National Geographic, World Economic Forum, and the Smithsonian. As a career coach and consultant, she's helped thousands of individuals in very diverse fields, in professions and industries, and in regions to help them create and land their own unicorn career. And as a consultant, she enables organizations and associations to be able to do all that stuff, grow their talent, and create their own unicorn careers within their company. Somebody at NASA actually said that Elena is worth her weight in gold. She's a skilled panel moderator. She once stopped a fist fight on stage between the CEO of a billion-dollar global company and a Nobel laureate. We'll have to ask her about that. As an undergraduate, she was a champion billiards player under the moniker of Lady Dynamite. She studied mathematics, Arabic, and Egyptology in Cairo. For the United States Department of Defense, please help me in welcoming the queen of nerds, Alaina G. Levine. Marhaba. How are you today?
And thank you so much. I'm psyched to the max. N equals infinity to be here with you and dance into the discomfort with you, my friend. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your freaking fabulous podcast.
Well, the one thing that I meant to say at the end of this, and that intro, and it's so funny because I shortened it so much, but I was like, I have to say all this stuff. But then I was like, and she's my friend. So I'm thrilled to have you on because I recently got to be at a professional conference with you and learn a little bit more about your business and what you do and all of that. But we need to start with this billiard thing because that's just not something you hear every day. So tell us a little bit about your billiards career.
So I love that you call it a career. Why not? Let's call it that. As my unicorn. Yeah, my unicorn career as a billiards champion. So when I was a student at the University of Arizona, I needed a job, and I found a job working in the billiards hall in the basement of the student union at the University of Arizona, at the U of A. They paid me a delightful, I believe it was $4.20 an hour. And one of the benefits, right, the benefits of working for this job was that we got 2 hours of free pool every single day, as long as we were not doing it on our work hours. Now, please do not tell my old boss, but I would, if it was light on customers and we had time, I would go play pool. Now, I had no idea how to play pool. I didn't know which direction on the table you rack the balls. I didn't know how to hold a stick. I didn't know it was called a cue. I had no knowledge of anything. So when I started playing for fun, I was not starting at zero. I was starting from less than zero. But I played a lot. I had colleagues of mine, the other students that worked in the job, they would play with me, they would teach me. And within about 6 to 7 months, I was playing on a regular basis. We had a billiards tournament that was taking place at the U of A. And the guy who used to run it, he was a consultant to Hollywood movies. Whenever they had billiards in the movies, like The Color of Money, he was apparently the consultant. So he would do this across the United States, host billiards tournaments in universities. He hosted one, and I decided just for the heck of it, I would go ahead and submit myself. I took 3rd place. I got a pink cue because I was playing 3rd in the women's, right? So of course they're going to give me a pink cue. And he was the one who christened me the name Lady Dynamite. He said, "You are Lady Dynamite." And within the next year, I started playing more and more, and I loved playing against people who were harder than me. I loved playing against the male students who would look at me and think, "Oh, I can wipe the floor with her," and then I would just wipe the floor with him. That was always
pink
fun.
Stick, honey,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You're like, watch this. Pink
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know how to play. What's that? And then poof, you're done. And then eventually I started like basically applying to compete at national tournaments. And I actually think if I recall correctly, I even helped to create the first University of Arizona Billiards Club. And we went to tournaments. So I did several tournaments across the US competing. I did not win in those tournaments, but the next year, I did that same tournament with that guy who was the consultant, and this time I took first place, got another pink cue, and wiped the floor with the girl who had beat me the first time. So it was amazing, and more importantly, Anne, your podcast about dancing and the discomfort so appeals to me because so much of our lives, our careers, our businesses, our work is really about dancing, enjoying life, being celebratory of things, but also taking the brave move of being uncomfortable. And it was very uncomfortable for me to play a sport that I had no knowledge of, that I didn't know anything about, and I sucked at. And that experience of continuously playing and building the habits and really like honoring myself as I went forward to learn taught me incredible valuable lessons that I take with me to this day.
I love it. Well, and every step, you started to play. That was courageous. Then you entered a tournament. That was courageous. Then you started the club. Then and every step forward, every step up to become, somebody with the name Lady Dynamite. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just cool. In fact, I would use that as my middle name. But, it takes those continued moves and those little brave moves. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I love it. So tell me a little bit about you studied Arabic, you studied math, and you're a self-proclaimed nerd. And with that, and probably with billiards as well, came this need for authenticity. And I think this is a big conversation these days. And So what does that mean in your world?
When I think about authenticity, I think about honoring who you truly are. And I think so often we go through life and let's be honest, privilege is associated with it. Some of us have more privilege, less privilege. Different privilege emerges at different stages of our life, depending on who we are and where we are. And I think really what it comes down to is knowing who you are, acknowledging who you are, and then leaning into who you are. Like, so for example, you and I share many, many things. And one of the things I so admire about you is your style, your sense of style on stage, off stage, the way you engage with people. But I absolutely love your hair. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It suits you so well. The color is stunning. And I have always wanted purple hair, and I was always afraid to add purple. What are they going to think of me? I'm a professional speaker. Are they going to think I'm not professional, or I'm not this, or I'm not that? And I shoulded all over myself, right? We do that too often. I shouldn't do this, or I should do that. And with COVID, one of the things I learned about COVID is that life's short. And really what's most important is when you honor your full self, the true full self of who you are, what you're able to do is be your best because you are freeing yourself from the burden of having to watch and see, are they going to find this out? Am I not going to be myself? Seeing and tamping down on your own authentic, creative, productive, innovative nature. And so I use the purple hair as an example. I decided I've always wanted purple hair. I'm going to do purple hair. And when I did it, it was such a gift to myself to show myself that this was something I always wanted to do. It reflects my playful nature, my love of style, my love of fashion, my love of color. I'm always colorful on stage, as you are as well. And so I really wanted to just lean into who I was. So when it comes to being authentic and really honoring who you are, and that's part of what I talk about in my new book, Create Your Unicorn Career, is really being mindful of the data about yourself, acknowledging it. You do not have to tamp it down, but just being honorable of it so that if you can lean into who you are, what you do is you give permission to everyone around you to also be their authentic self. Is that what you find too, Anne?
Yeah, totally. And there's a perfect example of this. We just saw blasted all over television with, is it Elise? I don't know how to say her name, but the young lady who just won the gold medal with striped hair, right? Yes. She was so authentic, so joyful. She was not your traditional skater. But she went and she zambonied the ice with everybody. I mean, watching her skate, I couldn't breathe. I was like, this is stunning. Yeah. And that was her being able to give her best because she was being who she genuinely was.
Exactly.
And I think that's just such a phenomenal example of let's focus on what's important here.
Exactly.
you know?
A few years ago, I was invited to give the commencement keynote for the University of Arizona, so for my alma mater, for the College of Science. And I know you, as a professional speaker, MC, you know the significance of that type of invitation. And for this particular group, they required me to write the speech in full on a piece of paper in advance so that they can produce the closed captioning. But just like you and I, we do not necessarily deliver speeches that way. It's more of an improvisational experience. So I had to write the speech. And for months, Anne, I was nervous out of my mind. I mean, like waking up in the middle of the night nervousness. And I was trying to figure out what was causing me nervousness. And I realized this nervousness, this data point of my anxiety, reminded me of something that I had when I was in performing arts camp decades ago, when I wrote a monologue for a play where I was playing a character of a stand-up comedian. And I wrote a monologue with the dumbest, worst, most awkward jokes you could possibly imagine. Nobody laughed. And I remembered when I took the stage to deliver that monologue in the play, everything was super cringe. I was nervous. I was shaking. I was so uncomfortable in my own skin because I had been writing a monologue that was not true to myself. And when I realized that that experience decades ago was the similar anxiety that I was feeling in the modern times, I realized I was shooting all over myself in this speech. I was writing a speech that was totally against my authentic nature. I was writing things that I thought should be there and words I should use. And what I did, Anne, was when I realized that it was epiphany, we don't always get that gift from the universe, but I was able to capture it. And when I did, I actually ripped up the speech. It was a week in advance. I ripped it up, rewrote it, put that story into the speech to encourage people to be their authentic self. And when I took the stage, I felt so much comfort and serenity in my own skin and my own brain that I did things on that stage in the commencement keynote. I danced around, I ran around the stage, I did things that I did not expect to do, but the serenity and the calmness I had was so sublime because I knew that I was being my authentic self and I was able to deliver the best speech of my day. That is what we give ourselves when we honor our authenticity, the best of ourselves.
And the response from the audience was probably...
Yes, it was very powerful. And in fact, the banner that I use now to sell my book on my YouTube and on my LinkedIn and all my different socials is a picture of me running across the stage and wearing the full academic regalia. So they gave me a really great hat and the robes and everything like that, talking and engaging with the audience. And you can see everybody smiling. And it was just I was so appreciative that I was able to capture what was causing me the pain and then nip it in the bud and be my authentic self.
I love it. So as a coach and as you're helping people create their unicorn career, excuse me, this is a tough thing. I mean, I've spent a lot of time and a lot of spirituality, a lot of meditation, figuring out who am I and how do I show up. So how do you guide people? Because I think that's the biggest part. How do I figure out who I am? Because we have so much social pressure telling us who we should be, how we can fit in, how we can be like everybody else, you know?
Yeah.
How do we figure out our own path?
Well, not only do we have that social pressure, but we also have sometimes well-meaning and sometimes not well-meaning and sometimes malicious people around us who do not know how to give us advice that honors who we are, right? So like the story I tell is when I was graduating with my mathematics degree, I went to my advisor, Dr. Math, and I asked him what else could I do with a career besides be a clone of him and become a professor, a teacher, or go work in actuarial studies. And he literally turned to me and used the word nothing to describe my career prospects. And that was ridiculous and enraging to me. But that rage sparked a new idea that we could create what I call your unicorn career, the customized, authentic career that brings you joy, meaning, and money. But if I had listened to him, I would have been relegated to a two-dimensional plane of ideas for my career. I would not have been able to see how I could build a career as a professional speaker, as a career coach, as a science writer, and do all those things that were so enjoyable to me and really lean into that diversity of projects and skills and problems that I solve. So I think a lot of times when we think about building a unicorn career, when I work with my clients, when I work with audiences, it's really about taking data about who you are. So I developed a 3-component model that leverages a data-driven process. And so the model basically looks at, intrinsic data, extrinsic data, and then builds a bridge of marketing between the two. So intrinsic data is about you. It comes from your head and your heart. And using a series of prompts and questions and exercises I've developed, I help people to begin to identify and honor and be honest with themselves. What is their truth? And so it could be anything from your definition of success and meaning and impact to your non-negotiables to, let's be honest, Anne, how much money do you need? How much money do you want in your life? What's important to you? So it's not just looking at your skills, but it's looking at what makes you a human, because that's actually more important. And by looking at that type of data, then we can actually use that to look at opportunities in the community, which is what I call the extrinsic data, which we get from networking. And then we can effectively communicate our value, even in real time. Hey, wait a second, maybe I can assist you with this, thus having opportunities created for you, and thus you being able to create your unicorn career.
I love it. And I think now more than ever, we can get pretty creative about how we earn our money. I think now literally more than ever before. So you've used this term unicorn career a lot. Define that for us, just so I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Absolutely. So I define a unicorn career as a customized, authentic career. It is aligned with your values, so it allows you to be yourself 100% of the time. And it's a career that brings you joy, meaning, and money, because you have got to get paid. And so I think a lot of times, and you know, I work a lot in the STEM field, so science, technology, engineering, and math. Particularly in this community, we don't talk enough about money. And so we have thinking about the people that are around us, we have advisors and mentors who say, oh, don't worry about the money. Oh, you can work as a grad student for $5 an hour, whatever. Like, no, money is not important. And that's insane, because they are literally running a multi-million-dollar business in their research group. They have money, they are being paid, they have shelter, food, and cupcakes. So obviously money is important to them. So why can't money be important to all of us if we are contributing to the system? And so I really lean into this conversation about money. And actually in my new book, and it's just published, here's my little baby. Isn't he cute? It's the little cutest unicorn ever. Thank you. In my new book that you just booped, by the way, you are the inaugural booper, by the way, Anne. Nobody has booped my book yet, so thank you for that. Hashtag Anne Bonney, the book booper. I love it. That's good. Book booper. I love it. That's going to be your next brand. I really have an entire chapter called Your Unicorn Finances, where I walk people through a series of exercises to better understand what is your money mindset, how much money do you need and want, and then how to shift that money mindset so that you can build the career that you want. Does that make sense? Does that give you a lay of the land?
Totally. Yeah. Why unicorn?
Oh, so I have always been obsessed with unicorns. I mean, you and I, we grew up watching unicorns, having trapper keepers filled with unicorns. We love the unicorns. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And when I thought about building a unicorn career, and this idea stems back many years, but in 2018, I was invited and hired to write an article for the inaugural issue of an international magazine called Nature Astronomy. So you mentioned Nature magazine. Nature is run by a company called Springer Nature. They have, I think, hundreds of journals, and Nature is one of their flagship. And so they were starting a brand new one for the astronomical community called Nature Astronomy. And they invited me to write an article for that inaugural piece, which came out in January 2018. And that was the first known publication of the use of unicorn career was in that article. And from then on, I really leaned into talking about the importance of unicorn careers and why we can actually create that. And people really respond to that. And as you know, I wrote a column for another magazine called Science Magazine for years called Your Unicorn Career. People love the concept, and it really speaks to them because it's unique, it's sparkly, it's magical. But the thing about building a unicorn career is that there's a process to actually achieve it. So even though it is unique and you are a unicorn, you can still achieve your unicorn career by following my method.
I love it. It's that rare and mythical thing that you can actually make happen. And that's, you're
exactly.
Getting the information for that. I love it. I love it. Do you ever do any work specifically with women?
Yes, 100%. So much of my business for many years has been with women. So I speak at women's conferences. I've spoken at lots of different associations that serve women, such as the Entrepreneurial Women's Association, the National Association of Women Business Owners I've worked with here in Arizona where I live. I am a longtime contractor with two international organizations of women leaders. One is called the Anita Borg Institute, and this is one of, if not the world's largest associations of women in technology. And then I have worked extensively with the Society of Women Engineers for, I think, almost 20 years now, if not 20 years. So working with women, I am a woman, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm a woman in STEM, and I'm a woman speaker like you and I are. And so helping women to achieve their unicorn career goals and their unicorn life goals is also a big part of my business and my calling, I would say.
And do you do any differentiation as far as the necessary steps to find that career? I mean, this is a question when I do women's events, they ask me to specify for women, and I haven't studied that, so I don't do it very much, but I was just wondering if you do.
Yeah, I do. And so and another organization I work with is called the Association of Women in Science. And so when I speak for women's organizations and women's and non-binary individual organizations, what I'm really focusing on is my own experience as a woman and what I've seen women and non-binary leaders do when they have tried to advance and are going to advance in their unicorn careers or their unicorn life. And, one of the challenges that we have in career development as women is, let's look at the job ads. So we see a job advertisement. It has 10 things that they say you're going to be responsible for and or are the qualifications. I call this a Santa Claus unicorn wish list because no human on the planet in this galaxy has every single one of those things. It is truly a wish list of somebody who doesn't exist. But there have been studies that have shown that more men, when they see that list, who do not have a one-to-one match for everything on the list, will apply for the job. And less women who do not have a one-to-one match will apply for the job. And so what does that mean? It means that the women are removing themselves from the possibility. They are potentially negotiating against themselves, and they are removing themselves from competition, giving more competitive advancement and advantage to the men who say, well, you know what, I'm going to apply anyway. And we've seen this over and over and over again in lots of different ecosystems, lots of professions. It's not limited to STEM, it's across the board. And so I'm really about, first of all, sharing that data, sharing that information, and then giving very specific ways that you can combat that. One of my most requested speeches for women's organizations is about how to navigate and combat imposter syndrome. And I have a data-driven process really that's very similar to the unicorn career model, where it's really about playing the logic and really playing the logic game and really understanding that you have power in this circumstance. So it's about acknowledging the issues, but also saying, here's how you can overcome them and get beyond them and not let them remove you from the competitive opportunity. That's really yours.
I love it. And there are systemic issues, but one of the things I always say is make sure you're eliminating all the you.
Yes.
In the issue. Let the systemic issue be the problem, not the fact that you're not putting yourself out there.
Oh my God, Anne, I love that. That's a great way to think of it. Yeah, smart.
So you also work with organizations, and sometimes we need to figure out how to, as an organization, create a unicorn career for people in my organization so they stick around. Because, getting new employees is an expensive proposition. Retention, exactly. Retention and engagement is a huge issue these days. So how are you working with organizations on that?
Yeah, so when corporations or associations or foundations or even government agencies hire me to deliver messages and programs and consulting relating to building your unicorn career in-house, obviously, it's not about getting a job somewhere else. It's about a couple of things. First of all, it's about recognizing that there's a lot more value that you can provide the employee and a lot more value the employee can provide the organization than both parties may even realize. And when we can own and identify and own those value points, it actually enables everybody to be even more productive, more creative, and then of course that reduces attrition, increases longevity, increases loyalty, increases productivity. The authentic index goes up higher, and so you're able to actually get the best out of your employees, and you're able to get the best out of your job. And so a lot of it is really understanding and it goes back to the same model for building your unicorn career. What do I love to do? What am I good at? What skills do I enjoy using? What problems do I enjoy solving? What tasks do I enjoy doing? And how can I talk to my boss about doing more of that so that I can be even more productive, more innovative, and provide even more contributions? And from the boss's perspective, it's about building unicorn career sort of frameworks within house So the employee understands what the ladder is like, where are they going to go in this career, where are the resources to help them be their best, and also where are the resources so that they can have the best time, right? So if we're going to honor the full human that works for the company, we have to also be mindful of what does that human actually need to be their best. And so this is the same process is used in that regard. So it's really about making sure that the employee and the employer are working truly in a win-win relationship, and everybody knows their strengths, their benefits that they can provide. And also becoming what I call being a mining engineer and looking within the company, within the employer, for all of the value that you can mine and all the value that you can offer as well.
Right?
Yes, it is a mutually beneficial alliance. And I think too often we look at jobs as, oh, they're giving me money. There's not, like I'm getting something from them, but it's actually not. You're giving something as well. It is a mutually beneficial partnership. And the more we look at that, the more we can actually leverage that for everybody's benefit.
Absolutely love it. And I think that mindset's going to be so more and more important.
Yes.
As the need for humans changes, the values that humans have in the workplace changes. I mean, while we're on the topic, where do you think AI is going as far as the workforce? And everybody's freaking out about that. So you've got a unique STEM perspective. What do you think?
Yeah, so breaking news, everybody's using AI for everything now, right? So when you're applying for a job, the employees, the potential candidates are using AI to edit their resume, edit their cover letter, prep for the interview, prep for the negotiation. The employer is using it for, we're seeing it in interviews, they're bringing in avatars, they're using it to evaluate, they're using it in all phases. So everybody's using it. So first and foremost, we don't have to fake. We all know everybody's using it. We have to use it effectively. I think the individual, when I do career coaching for individuals, it's about really using AI tools specifically and strategically to help you advance. But, you and I have a great colleague in the National Speakers Association, one of our esteemed colleagues, Tom Singer, and Tom talks a lot about AI and what he calls HI, human interaction. And I freaking love Tom. I think he's so brilliant. It's really about understanding the value of the humanity at this moment. So AI is not going to replace certain elements of our society. It will replace certain elements of our society. That is true. But other elements it will not. And the more we lean into what value we can get from being human and from pursuing human interactions, and what can we do to offer employers, collaborators, vendors, contractors, the community that only a human and a human's brain and heart could provide, the better it will be for you, the better it will be for the other party, the better it will be for society. And so we are in a very unique time in history. I think it is very bizarre. Yeah, it changes second by second. But I think when you lean into the humanity and see what a human can do that will not be replaced, that's by AI. I think that's where we're going to be able to be successful. And also where we're going to be able to coalesce as a society and lean into our community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. That human aspect is not going to go away. And it's an important thing to remember. So brush up on your humanity, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Let me get a book, How to Be a Really Great Human. It sounds like something.
How to Be a Human.
How to Be a Human. It seems like that's something that was probably on The Simpsons. Like I feel that might have been on The Simpsons at one point. So I'm going to have to review.
Well, so last question for you, because this is something I wrote down about 20 minutes ago, because as I think about my life and how, who I was 10 years ago and 15 years ago and 20 years, I mean, they're different people.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about when it comes to your unicorn career and the evolution of you as a human. Because things change and we shift in our likes and dislikes and perspectives and needs and lifestyle changes and all that stuff. So talk to me a little bit about where you help individuals in the coaching aspect as their lives evolve.
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. And the way I think of it is actually, I talk about the importance of your unicorn career, but the reality is that's actually not the goal. The goal is building your unicorn life. So your unicorn life is the umbrella system of that encompasses your unicorn career, your unicorn job, but also your family, your cats, your dogs, your iguanas, your faith, if you have it, your fitness, your art, your community involvement, your finances, and your retirement. So it's really about honoring the full sense of who you are as a person. And so the tools that I use in my book, I actually lean into building your unicorn life. And I talk about how building your unicorn career and the model that I built for building your unicorn career actually is an ingress towards building the unicorn life that provides you with joy, meaning, energy, and balance according to your own specifications. So everybody changes. We change on a regular basis. I always say, you and I, we are complex systems moving forward in space and time, which also is complex every time we engage the system. So even in this conversation, Anne, you are changing me, I am changing you, and we are conscious and mindful of leveraging that feedback loop. And so my clients, when I coach people individually, they tend to be, generally speaking, in two different sort of classifications. So one group of people are people that are early in their career, and they have, let's say, they're just about, or they've just completed, let's say, a PhD in physics, for example, and they realize, I do not want to be a physicist. I don't want to be a physics professor. What else is out there? What else can I do? I know no other realm. And so they come to me with knowledge that they want to do something more. They want to build on their physics degree, but they don't want to do the physics every day. What else can they do? And so I work with them and walk them through the unicorn career model. But the other people are people like you and I, Anne, who have been in careers prior. Maybe we've been in life prior. We're a little bit older. You and I are super, super old, as we all know, as your audience knows, very old. And so they've been here. They've done it. They've seen it. They've been around the block. They know who they are. They know who they love. They know what they love, and they know what they don't love. And so it's really about taking this very exciting moment, typically people who are in their 40s and 50s, and helping them with this new season of their unicorn life and their unicorn career, and what else can they do at this moment. And so being mindful of the fact that you change on a regular basis, but also it's really about, it comes down to honesty, Anne, right? One of the things I've developed as an older lady is I have less interest in giving Fs. Right? I have less interest in giving Fs. And out of respect for your audience, they can figure out what the F is there. What the F is, they can figure that out. And so I that's partly why I did the purple hair, because I give less Fs. If you don't like me, if you don't want me for me, that's cool. I'm cool with you. That's you. I'm me. We're not meant to be, and that's cool. I will find the people who will value me for me, and who will respect me for me. And those are the people that will be my people. Those are the people that will be my colleagues. So it's a lot of it is really just accepting who you are and honestly owning it, and being mindful of what is your jam at this stage of your life.
And just coming back around to, we got to just do us. And, you know, the saying that I like to say is, I can't make everybody happy. I'm not a taco.
Oh my God. Anne, did you know that, oh my God, Anne, my heart just exploded even more of being in love with you. So I always say that I have three things that I absolutely love. This is my lunch, my dinner, my dinner, my brunch, my coffee, cupcakes, and tacos. I think tacos are nature's most perfect nutrient. They are the greatest gift that the universe ever gave us. And so I really appreciate, you're absolutely right. I love that story.
We're not tacos. We can't make everybody happy. No. I love that. And I think that's such an important thing for everybody to remember as we, struggle through all of the noise coming from social media and the society and who we should be and what we should do and blah, blah, blah. Is really just taking a minute, listen to all that, because research is important, and then go in a dark room and say, all right, cool. Who am I?
Yeah.
And also from an external standpoint, being okay with somebody with purple hair, because it's brilliant, worth her weight in gold. If NASA thinks so, I'm in. Elena, you're the bomb. AlainaLevine.com is the website. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put all the links in the show notes so y'all can get in touch with Elena. And so we're recording this in February, but it's not going to come out until May. So your unicorn career is available now, right? Create Your Unicorn Career.
The book is out. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on my website, and it is here for you. And I offer any of your listeners a free career consultation, and I'm going to give you the Calendly link so that people can book that as well. And you are amazing. And it's been just so great getting to know you through our association and our association within the association, and sitting next to you at the last conference we went to where we got to get to know each other even better. I just so admire how you live your life true to who you are. And it's just such a wonderful.
Right back at you. Thank you so much for your time and your insights. This has been amazing.
Thank you, Anne.